Hi blessed beings, welcome to Shelter in the Storm with A Course in Miracles, Lesson 21. Okay, so today we're continuing Chapter 2, the Separation and the Atonement. We're finishing off Section 3, which is the Altar of God. So I won't reread any parts, we'll just keep going from where we were. Tolerance for pain may be high, but it is not without limit. Eventually, everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. As this recognition becomes more firmly established, it becomes a turning point. This ultimately reawakens spiritual vision, simultaneously weakening the investment in physical sight. The alternating investment in the two levels of perception is usually experienced as conflict, which can become very acute. But the outcome is as certain as God. Spiritual vision literally cannot see error and merely looks for atonement. All solutions the physical eye seeks dissolve. Spiritual vision looks within and recognizes immediately that the altar has been defiled and needs to be repaired and protected. Perfectly aware of the right defense, it passes over all others, looking past error to truth. Because of the strength of its vision, it brings the mind into its service. This reestablishes the power of the mind and makes it increasingly unable to tolerate delay, realizing that it only adds unnecessary pain. As a result, the mind becomes increasingly sensitive to what it would once have regarded as very minor intrusions of discomfort. The children of God are entitled to the perfect comfort that comes from perfect trust. Until they achieve this, they waste themselves and their true creative powers on useless attempts to make themselves more comfortable by inappropriate means. But the real means are already provided and do not involve any effort at all on their part. The atonement is the only gift that is worthy of being offered at the altar of God, because of the value of the altar itself. It was created perfect and is entirely worthy of receiving perfection. God and his creations are completely dependent on each other. He depends on them because he created them perfect. He gave them his peace, so they could not be shaken and could not be deceived. Whenever you are afraid, you are deceived, and your mind cannot serve the Holy Spirit. This starves you by denying you your daily bread. God is lonely without his sons, and they are lonely without him. They must learn to look upon the world as a means of healing the separation. The atonement is the guarantee that they will ultimately succeed. Okay, let's move to our lesson number 21. My daughter's bookmark she made for me for Mother's Day in preschool. She's 25 now or something, my youngest. Lesson 21. I am determined to see things differently. The idea for today is obviously a continuation and extension of the preceding one. This time, however, specific mind-searching periods are necessary, in addition to applying the ideas to particular situations as they may arise. 5 practice periods are urged, allowing a full minute for each. In the practice periods, begin by repeating the idea to yourself. Then close your eyes and search your mind carefully for situations, past, present, or anticipated, that arouse anger in you. The anger may take the form of any reaction, ranging from mild irritation to rage. The degree of the emotion you experience does not matter. You will become increasingly aware that a slight twinge of annoyance is nothing but a veil drawn over intense fury. Try, therefore, not to let the little thoughts of anger escape you in the practice periods. Remember that you do not really recognize what arouses anger in you, and nothing that you believe in this connection means anything. You will probably be tempted to dwell more on some situations or persons than on others, on the fallacious grounds that they are more obvious. This is not so. It is merely an example of the belief that some forms of attack are more justified than others. As you search your mind for all the forms in which attack thoughts present themselves, hold each one in mind while you tell yourself, I am determined to see Barry differently. I am determined to see my work life differently. Try to be as specific as possible. You may, for example, focus your anger on a particular attribute of a particular person, believing that the anger is limited to this aspect. If your perception is suffering from this form of distortion, say, I am determined to see Vicky. I'll try that one again. I am determined to see ignorance in Vicky differently. Okay, let's go to the year of forgiveness. Okay. So lesson 21. I am determined to see things differently. You are blessed beings, indeed. I am that one you know as Jesus. This is one of the fundamental principles you need to realize you are pursuing in this practice. You are determined to see things differently. That by assumption means that some of the things you see now and interpret are incorrect. You acknowledge that by your willingness to practice, it is important for you to remember you are going to change some things in your world by doing this practice. This practice is a mind transformation process. Therefore, the world projected from your mind shifts and changes. This brings up fear in the ego mind because the ego's security and safety believes things should not change, specifically for you. As you know, the ego is an aspect of your mind that uses separation and fear as its foundation. Now, as you go toward love and say, I need to change the way I see things that I'm surrounded by, the ego begins to argue with you and responds, well, hang on a second. We've set up all these defenses. We've set up all these ways of doing things to keep you safe and away from potential danger. For example, other beings. That is one of the things the ego wants to do. It wants to keep you away from other beings because it perceives they are going to injure you or hurt you. and your control of your environment through defensiveness and attack is what actually keeps you safe. The truth is, it is actually what makes you miserable or sick. It is important for you to know that as you go through these lessons. It is important for you to know that as you go through these lessons. That voice of argumentativeness presents itself on a regular basis. It may be quite loud at times, but you must go back to the reasons you began this course. You must go back to the reasons you felt you needed to have your mind changed. It is important that you revisit your initial decision to start the lessons of A Course in Miracles, so that you do not forget or listen to the voice of the ego that says, "Hey, we were doing great without all this discipline being asked of us. Let's go back to doing what we have always known and what we have always done." As you know, if you always do what you have always done, you will always get what you have always gotten. If that is not what you want and how you wish to express yourself and live, then you must decide to continue these lessons, regardless of the commentary coming from the separated part of your mind that you call the ego mind. We are very proud of you for coming this far. We challenge you today to share these videos, whether or not you feel that anyone else in your group or your gathering place, your Facebook page, for example, will understand them. It is a great gift to humanity for you to share this series of lessons for those beings who might be suffering and may not know of its existence. It is a wonderful thing for you to contemplate doing. If you are too frightened to do it because you fear persecution or judgment from others, then you can look at that little secret hiding in your mind, which is that you care more about what others think than the health and well-being of your fellow brothers and sisters. That is a good thing to know if that lurks in your mind. You can work on that as well while we go through these lessons. I am that one you know as Jesus, and we are very pleased you are here. We will see you again tomorrow. Thank you, dearest ones. Blessings. Namaste.